to the Wellington Republican matinee. But before that, and we have a great movie to show, before that, we were supposed to have two candidates here that Joe had set up for us to listen to. We do have one, so after the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll introduce you to him, and then I have questions that Joe got from our other members for us to ask. So, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to introduce John Carroll. Brian Hawkins was the other candidate, but he's not here, so we'll go this way. He is running for the state representative for seat 53. So, our timer, Mr. Dealey over there, we're going to give him 4 minutes for an opening statement. John.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I just want to make sure how sensitive. One of the microphones I use is very sensitive, so I've got to like get very close or too far, so I just want to make sure. I appreciate everybody for coming out, and I want to appreciate and say thank you to Wellington Republican Club for having this. For those that don't know me, my name is John Carroll. As mentioned, I'm running for the Florida House of Representatives, District 53, and I'm very known iconically for my cowboy hat and everything. I wanted to bring it up, but since we're indoors, I'm just trying not to wear it, be polite. So, those that know a bit about me, service is in the backbone for my family. Since when I was a young kid growing up, we got told the stories about my family's background. My family dates back to the Revolutionary days. Charles Carroll signed the Declaration of Independence on behalf of the Maryland colony and became the first senator. So I heard that growing up as a kid. My family has military service from both sides, my mom and my dad's. I served in the military police with the Army. I did 15 months and 2 birthdays over in Iraq. Got out of the Army, went to college, came back, continued service with law enforcement. I currently serve in the Florida State Guard, where I've been deployed 5 times. So that's a big part about my background, but it also ties in because service is a big part of me. My personal motto is in Latin. I took from my unit's insignia and then from another motto. My personal motto in English is, I serve with honor. I've had that personal motto for years, and that's what I've tried to do my whole life. So whether it's serving in uniform or serving publicly for the people, that's been my entire lifetime. I've been able to serve the public. I've served on many boards. I've served at the local level. I've served at the county level. I've been appointed by Governor DeSantis 3 times now and been vetted. So I currently serve as chairman and commissioner at the Housing Authority, and I serve on one of the DVPR occupational boards. I'm fortunate that I now serve on Congressman Gus Bilirakis' Veterans Advisory Committee, and I also have been involved in a task force with the school district trying to help pre-FAFO and DOGE them before they get FAFO to try to help reduce the budget, thus reducing stress on the taxpayers. So that's the quick part about my background. Going into what my plans are and what I plan on doing. I'm trying to keep track of the time because I can't see it. Here's my plans. I've surmised it down to 3 big things: affordability, red tape, and public safety. The affordability part is simple for me. I want to help continue to reduce taxes like we've seen over the years here in Florida and make it a lot easier for our taxpayers, especially for Floridians. The other part about the affordability is the insurance rates. We've finally started seeing insurance rates stagnate or drop down a little, but some people, they haven't felt it yet. I'm hoping they continue to see it. And I want to see us do more. I want to do my part in helping to reduce that so we can make things much better for Floridians who live here. The red tape. We have a lot of red tape that happens on individuals, on businesses, and on local government, and I want to help reduce that stress. I want to be able to help the local government be able to do things while at the same time do the same stuff so that you as individuals and as businesses can be able to do more without having so much hurdles and things you got to deal with. Very quick example, the county commission just voted the other day on knocking out a lot of certain types of building permits. That reduces the edge on that, and it helps out for businesses. That's something that the county is allowed to let the individuals do now. I want to find out what things the state is forcing people to do now that we can help reduce and make it easier. And the last part is public safety. I have my law enforcement background, want to help continue supporting law enforcement, EMS, firefighters, but also a big part of public safety people forget is emergency management. You know, I've been studying, taking a lot, working on FEMA certifications. I've done many courses. I've been deployed to 3 hurricanes and a tornado and the Texas border. And I want to help lighten the load on that. We need to continue to push the support. We're dealing with wildfires in Florida at record numbers, and we need to be able to help our wildland firefighters and do more there, and that's what I want to help with. So my time just ran out at the right time. So,
Very good, very
thank
good.
you. It was a little harder because I couldn't see the time. I'm like, how am I
Yeah.
doing? How am I doing? That might have lost me 5 seconds total.
We did have that hit.
I liked it. It was good.
Okay.
Kept me on my toes.
All right, so the question that was presented to us, as this will be the first elected office you've held, why would you be best representative for our state seat 53?
So, yes, this will be my first elected seat, but I have been able, like I mentioned, I've been able to serve at the local and the state level with the appointments that I've gotten from the governor's office. And on top of that, though, the other work that I've done is I've got my exposure in Tallahassee. So, I used to go up with Republican groups and advocate and fight for liberty and constitutional-minded items, you know, Second Amendment items, other pro-Constitution stuff, trying to help fight for those rights to get them back for us, you know. What I then ended up doing was, while I was in the Department of Corrections as a sergeant, I spent 3 years going up to Tallahassee and advocating for my officers and speaking and meeting with legislators, you know, and I wasn't paid to do it. I made it my own job. I used my own vacation time. I drove up with my own car. I paid my own gas, paid my hotels. It was, you know, as the PBA had said, I was going up on my own time and on my own dime. So I have 5 years of experience in Tallahassee, working with legislators, talking to them about what is going on with the officers, what they need, what support, where they're lacking, where the legislature can do stuff. Now that's what I did for my officers on my own time. If I have it as an actual job, watch what I'll be able to do when I treat it as my full-time job, to where I'm fighting. And it's not just my officers, which they need all the help they can get. Because imagine working in a prison where one officer works with 150 inmates in their dorm by themselves, and having a sergeant there whenever they can because everything's busy. That's what I did like that, but imagine what I'm doing when I'm advocating for Hernando and Pasco County. This district does include part of Northwest Pasco. So when I'm fighting for my constituents, that's the background I have. I have a background of literally going to Tallahassee and saying, these are my people, this is who I'm fighting for, please hear me out and know what we can do, and see what we can work on. That's what I plan on doing. The same thing is, as the representative for Hernando, I want to fight for what's best for Hernando. I want to fight for all of Hernando County. I got to respect the boundaries. Everything east of the Sun Coast is a different state house district, so I'll help out Representative Samantha Scott however I can to help better Hernando. But it's focusing on making sure what Hernando wants is what's needed. Fighting for appropriations for projects here that needs to be worked on. Fighting for and bringing Hernando's voice. There's a reason why we're called, once elected, it's called a representative, because you represent the people, you're the people's voice. So it's not so much me just going up there and I'm voting for something. This is what Hernando County wants. This is what Northwest Pasco wants. This is me bringing your voice. And I want to help try to do that. One thing I want to institute is try to work on bringing bills and awareness to you guys here back at the club level and the party level, so you guys can give your feedback, so I can go up there when I give my votes, give my justification, say this is what literally my county and my district want. You know, it's not just me voting because this and that. I know whatever I vote on affects the entire state. Like whatever we vote on in the legislature, it affects Pensacola, it affects Orlando, it affects Key West. But they have their representation. My job is to be Spring Hill's representative, Hernando Beach's representative, Arapika and Hudson. That's the job. It is for me to bring the one voice that this district gets and say, this is what the people want. And because of my track record with that, I can safely say that I have that in my backbone. And I've built a lot of ties with legislators already, so I'm not going to be an unknown figure to many of them because of that very reason. And they know that I do things because I know what's right and what's just, because I did it for my officers. As a representative, would be the exact same thing.
Very good. Okay, that was very good. Now the next question It's 3 minutes, John. 4 is okay, if it's long.
No, put me on the fire, let's do 3, let's see what happens. I'll be honest, I looked at that timer and I thought, okay.
I thought you were doing excellent.
Thank you.
So, okay, so the question is, what do you expect to accomplish as a representative?
So, when you look at our legislature, we got a lot of great people from a lot of backgrounds. There's doctors, there's lawyers, there's farmers, there's so many others. There's only a couple that have a law enforcement background, and I would be the only one with a corrections background. And the biggest problem at the state level, you don't feel it here at the local level as much, but at the biggest problem at the state level, one of the biggest, is the problem with the Department of Corrections, because they're so short-handed. Low pay, bad schedules, it's just people are literally leaving the prisons. And so think about it, whenever you have the sheriff pushing and arresting people, the deputies, and they're arresting people and they're sentencing them, they go to DOC. Well, one of the problems is with short staffing, they've had to shut down dorms, they've had to shut down prisons. And if they get to a point where they're over capacity, they have to actually face the chance of working with the Attorney General and start releasing people early from their sentence. Now, there's a reason why it's called Department of Corrections. They're supposed to be corrected, and hopefully they pick the right ones, but that's a big problem, is that we're gonna be taking people who are supposed to be doing their time for what they did and getting released early just because we don't have the manpower. And I wanna try to help solve that problem. The other big one, like I mentioned at the beginning, that's the personal thing for me, Mike, with that. But the big part, like I said, is the affordability. We have the property tax amendment that's on the ballot this year. And remember, there's actually a way to process how it goes. It's not just that the people vote for it. If the people vote for this on the ballot and it gets passed, 60% of the vote, it then goes to the legislature and it's their job to codify it in law. And so they have to put it in. So they still have to go through the process like a normal bill. But you know what happens sometimes is that, yes, the people will pass it, but then they're gonna make whatever changes they can. There are some things that's hard set. This property tax amendment, for example, if you support it, it says the exemption goes up to $150,000 on January 1st, 27, and it goes to $250,000 on January 1st, 2028. They can't change that, but they could try to add whatever caveats. What's the saying? There's 3 types of colors when it comes to paperwork. There's black, there's white, and then there's gray. And if there's a gray area, that's what you gotta wonder, you know. If they see a gray area where something's not been exactly detailed, they can go in and try to make whatever changes. And if they get enough legislators to support and make the votes to make whatever amendments and changes, well, there you go, sudden changes. You know, again, the hard detail, the fine line stuff that's been said, they're not gonna change that. But any other details they can, they will. And that's what happened before with other amendments. There were some things that's been changed that's not been too effective on people, but it's stuff like that. And I wanna make sure that whatever Hernando County votes on, I wanna push that. And let's say the amendment doesn't pass. Well, I'm still gonna be pushing and fighting for whatever kind of tax breaks and tax cuts we can. Because again, people are just getting priced out of their homes. You know, Florida used to be one of the cheapest places to live in, and now, thanks to all the people moving down here, it costs so much more. Housing values have gone up, which sounds great as a seller, but then if you're trying to buy somewhere else in the state, you can't afford it. So I wanna help lower that burden as much as possible and find whatever ways I can and talk with the people and push that.
Okay, John, the last, this is your closing statement, and you have 4 minutes.
Since Brian's not here, I'm open to taking another extra question or two if people want.
Okay, we can do that.
If there's any questions anyone has, I'll take a quick question or two.
Well, let's, yeah, okay, you wanna do that before your closing?
Well, sure, I mean, any question, you're running the place, I'm not.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I think you should do your closing
Okay.
statement, and then if anybody has a question.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. You know, I won't reiterate too much more of like what I said. I appreciate you guys hearing me out. If you got any questions, please let me know. I got my palm cards, I got my business cards. So a quick thing, the printer ended up making a typo on these, so he's not charging me, he's getting me new ones. So I'm just letting you know now, we already saw that and I pointed out to him, but it does have, everything else is correct. My website, my phone number's on it. One of the biggest things I'm proud of is that on the business card, and you'll see on the website and my social media, is that I've been fortunate to be endorsed by one of President Trump's biggest fighters in Congress, and that's Congresswoman Anna Polina Luna. She's endorsed me. It was very fast. She said, you don't even need to pitch yourself. I know who you are. I know what you stand for. I know what you fight for. You got my support right there and then. I'm also proud to say that I just got the endorsement this morning from the National Association of Gun Rights, and they're going to be supporting me because I'm a big Second Amendment guy as well. And I've literally fought for the Constitution. I've served for it. Something I was talking about with somebody recently, I won't go too much into the drive just because of the time, but I was making a point about how important my word is. You know, I have the saying, my word is gold, you know, and it means something to me. I've taken the oath so many times in my life, for the military, for law enforcement, the state guard, Coast Guard Auxiliary. I did that for 10 years. I was so eager to join the military, I joined the Coast Guard Auxiliary while still in high school, waiting to then join the Army and ship out. I've taken the oath all those times. I've signed paperwork, taken an oath and a pledge when I got my offices that the governor's appointed me to, and et cetera. If my word doesn't mean anything, my oath doesn't mean anything. And those oaths mean so much to me. I still remember the oath. You know, I still remember the soldier's creed. I still remember the warrior ethos. You know, the warrior ethos is in the Army soldier's creed, which is, I'll always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. And I will never leave a fallen comrade. We got drilled into our head every day to recite the soldier's creed. And the Army song, but you guys don't want me singing, trust me. But it was drilled in my head, and it means everything to me. My oath means everything to me, and my word means everything. If I say I'm going to do something, rest assured, I'm going to do everything I can to do it. If I don't get it done, maybe it was impossible, maybe I just couldn't get there, but at least I tried. If I didn't do it, it's a very unlikely case. You know, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I need to do it. And I want you guys to know that I mean every bit of that. I've had my own anxieties at times here or there when I'm trying to do something, get something done, because I'm worried, like, I told so-and-so that I was going to do this, and I need to make sure I get it done because I don't want to fail other people. It's one thing if I do something, I make a mistake and it hurts me, that's fine. You know, we all do that. But the last thing I'm going to do is try to do something and it hurts other people. And that's the thing, like when I tell you I'm going to do something, if I don't get it done, I feel like that hurt you, and I hurt you because I told you I was going to. It means everything to me to keep my promise, keep my word, keep my oath. And that's the thing, is that being an elected state representative, you take an oath. You swear to uphold the constitutions of the United States and the state of Florida, something I have done many times. And if I forsake the Constitution, I forsake everything that this country stands for. Like I made a point, we're going to be watching The Patriot talking about, you know, the revolution, the Declaration of Independence and what it meant. That was a statement to the king saying, hey, we're done with this, we will be free and independent states. The Constitution solidified the function of our government, and with the Bill of Rights and the amendments, the rights that we guarantee. I cannot forsake them, and I will not forsake them, because I'm forsaking America and Florida. And that's me in a nutshell. So my time's up.
All right, does anyone have a question? I'll bring the microphone.
How am I sounding, by the way? Am I too loud, too low? I should have asked you guys that earlier, I'm sorry. Is that a thumbs up, Maxwell? You follow me? You might be doing a thumbs down just this for me.
What is your opinion on all these data centers that are trying to be built in the Florida pasture lands?
That's the actual copy of the pastures. So I actually made a video about this because the data centers have been a hot topic. I'll try to be concise with the time, but to give the detail, I outright said at the very beginning, what's my opinion on the data centers? I'm not a fan. I just don't like them. And I made a point about the bill, you know, and I know I ruffled some feathers with some people, because there are people who say, push a bill that just gets rid of all of them. And I'd like that. But here's the only thing, the reason, the bill they pushed, if you guys know, I was at the governor's press conference when he signed the bill on the data centers that said that they're going to be built, they need to deal with permits with either the local water management district, which for us is, is SWIFT-MUD, or the Department of Environmental Protection. Local governments have final say, so therefore it brought back down, the big Republican item is decentralized government, brought back down to the local level. Because the big fear I have, and this is why I'm saying about the whole idea when people saying just ban them all, is look at what happened a couple of years ago with the abortion and the marijuana amendments. How much money was spent trying to, one, donate to legislators to get their votes on trying to not push these amendments, and then also the other part was to get the word out to support their amendments, to vote down, to vote yes on 3 and 4 to allow abortions all the way to late term, and to allow full recreational marijuana, which is the discussion on the medical marijuana part. But data centers are going to do the same thing. The amount of money they got. I mean, Louisiana, they're building a data center that's bigger than the island of Manhattan up in northern Louisiana. That's not even exaggeration. That's what was pointed out to me. I don't want to see that. And what I loved about the bill that the governor signed was it brought it back to the local level. Because think about this, as a state representative, you guys can reach out to me and tell me, hey, we don't want to see these data centers. Okay, you're reaching one of 160 legislators, representatives and senators. You could try to reach out to Representative Scott, sure, she'll respond back. You can reach out to Representative Yeager in West Pasco and so on and so forth. But that's 3 out of 160. You tack on, let's say, 3 senators, that's 6. But now with the decentralized bill that they did, now you gotta reach out to your county commissioners, or the people in Brooksville, they reach out to the city council. And how much easier is it to push those and try to say we don't want them? That's what happened. The county commission voted on a moratorium. What I wanna do is I wanna see about pushing a bill that will lengthen the moratorium laws so the government can do that. And maybe if there is a way to say they can just outright ban, because there are other types of businesses that they do. Hernando County doesn't allow permanent stationary electronic billboards, you know? Hernando County does not allow a lot of types of adult clubs and stuff like that. They have the right to prevent those businesses, and they can't sue. What's to say that we can't try to find a way to allow for stuff like this? I want to see what kind of fine lines we could do to where at the local level they can do it. And I want to help strengthen that, so that way the local government has a say, and you guys have that power to tell your county commissioners, hey, we don't want this. And it only takes 3 out of 5 votes, rather than trying to get 61 out of 120 in the House and 21 out of 40 in the state Senate.
Okay.
Sorry, I hear myself making that sound.
In the meantime, what is the purpose of the data center and what kind of data do they collect?
So, I'm not a full tech guy, so I can't say everything they collect, but I do know from a lot of other kind of programs and stuff, whether it's through the government, whether it's through private companies. The biggest thing about data centers that they say is storage of data. So they're collecting everything. You know, there are so many things, and you watch like through the intelligence programs and everything as well, whether it's EO 12333, whether it's PRISM, whether it's Upstream, all these different programs, how much of your data is collected. You know, I remember watching in an interview sometime back and getting a lot of details. Some of these programs, do you know that, like the federal government, for example, they deputized a lot of these companies to be sort of their cyber sheriffs and start collecting data. And when you're going through these companies and stuff like that, it's their property because they control it. So if you have Google, a Gmail account like I do, Google owns any information that goes through that stuff. Now, there's certain ways that they can't collect it entirely or give it to the government, but there's other ways they can. For example, Gmail has, I'll start finishing up, Gmail has a substation in London. Do you know that when your emails and communications leave the US, there's certain intelligence and federal programs they can collect the data. So Google will intentionally have your data go to London and back here in Florida. You could send it to Larry. You can send an email to Larry. They can have it rerouted through their wire into London and back. The federal government got a copy of that. And that's through federal laws that they can do that through intelligence programs. But these data centers, anything you send through become their property. That's one of the reasons why the Postal Service is so protected, because that's your personal information in the custody of the federal government to be transported. And that's why doing anything, hitting a postal truck, attacking a mailbox can actually be a federal crime, because that they are guardians of that. But that's the government's way of being a guardian. A private company, and I'm not saying the government needs to be in control of everything, I'm not a communist, trust me. But this is the thing with private companies, they're collecting your stuff and you don't even know about it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, John. One more question, and that'll do it.
John, what's your feelings on voter ID?
Here's my military ID. Here's my state guard ID. Here's my driver's license. Here's my expired but concealed weapons permit. I keep it anyway, just because. And doesn't have my picture, but here's my voter registration card. I'm all about voter ID. Literally, it's one of the biggest things. I got a project coming up in one of my college classes, because in the middle of all these boards, I'm also a full-time college student working on another degree on my GI Bill. And literally, my topic is why voting is so important. We became an independent nation. Let me grab this. Sorry. We became an independent nation because one of the things we didn't have was the right to representation to Parliament. And we need to have our representation, but also that the people have a say. And we need to make sure it's our people have a say. You know, I'm a Floridian. I should only be able to vote in Florida's elections. Now, you know that you can be a resident of one state and register to vote in another. You know, doesn't mean you're registered twice, although I found out the hard way I was. quick thing, when I was stationed in Alaska with the Army, I registered to vote up there. And I was thinking about actually moving up there. I had a girlfriend, I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll stay up here when I get out. I moved back down to Florida in time for the 2012 election after I got out of the Army, and I go to re-register to vote, and they're like, oh no, you're still in the system. Alaska never told Florida I registered to vote. I was registered to vote twice. I didn't vote twice, for the record. I followed the law. But I didn't even know that Alaska didn't even talk to the lower 48 states, so I didn't even know that I could have, potentially. It would have been a crime. But that's the thing, I am big about that. We need election security and we need voter ID to make sure who it is. I'm getting granular talking about living in one state and voting in another, but at the same time, we're worried about other people from other countries. How many people we have that live here that are from Mexico, that are from Canada? How many times do we see license plates from Ontario? Wonderful place, although not agreeing with their politics, but I don't want them voting if they're still Canadians. I don't want people from Ireland voting, not knocking them. I don't want people from Kazakhstan. We need the voter IDs for this very reason. I have 4 IDs on me right now. One's expired, I know. I'll let Wilton Simpson yell at me later. But I'm very big about that. And you can't get me to budge on that because it is a right. People say, oh no, it's an inherent right. We shouldn't have to worry. It's like, it is an inherent right for citizens. And all we have to do is make sure that you are a citizen registered to vote and not somebody else. California, last tremble, I'm sorry. California, who followed the Los Angeles mayor race? And do you know that California, they passed laws, it is illegal to show your ID when getting your ballot. Like, if he's an election worker and he asks me for my ID, he can go to jail. And me, if I forcefully try to push for you to take my ID, I could be arrested because I'm harassing election workers. No, not here in Florida. And I'll stop there, but that's it. Like,
Thank
no.
you very much. Let's give him a big hand.
Sorry if I rambled, you can tell I get a little passionate on some things.
I personally want to thank you very much for coming today.
I appreciate it.
And I thought you did a fabulous job.
Appreciate it. Again, very quickly, I got my cards if you guys need. I know the typo, context is correct. I got my palm cards if you guys want a yard sign. I know HOA rules. You can't have them outside. The castle doctrine per law, you can have them in your window, inside your car, however you want. So I got a few right here if you guys want. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Say, before we get ready for the movie, I want to recognize Mark Johnson. He's, you know, he always comes to our events, which is wonderful. Did you want to say anything, Mark? Yeah.
Well, I have something, if you get selected, you can do.
Oh, no.
And very seriously, as a private investigator, when I acquire information on vehicle registration, I used to get a 3-digit insurance code that would tell you who the carrier is. For some reason, they changed that, where that's no longer available. So, in order to find out who the carrier is, if the other person lies to you, you have to hire an attorney, and then the attorney of record can get that information rather than a private investigator. What does the attorney of record get? If you hire an attorney, and he settles by sending a little letter out on your claim for having a dented fender, he gets 1/3. If it goes to court, he gets 40%. That's wacko. I get that, I charge a client a little bit of money. I like to see that reversed, like go back where it's available to private investigators.
What was their reason about it? Was that privacy rights or something?
Yeah, somebody had a bug up their bun about insurance. Now, you have to understand, this code does not tell anybody your policy number. It does not tell anybody what your limits are. It just tells you who the carrier is.
What do you need that?
Thank you, Mark, very much. Listen, we need to recognize, is it Maxwell?
Maxwell, yes. Maxwell Glenn. Maxwell Glenn. GLE.
Right, he's running for office as well. Did you want to say a word?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
2 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Maxwell Glenn. I am running for our Board of County Commission. I'll be the District 2 seat. I will be right in the middle of your ballot. I am 26 years old. I have lived in Hernando County my entire life. My main concerns for running is a lot of the overdevelopment that's going on. I want to make sure that we have good infrastructure for the people that live here. I want to make sure that we have properly funded public service, which includes our sheriffs and our deputies being safe out there. I also want to make sure we prioritize our roads, infrastructure, and our fire management department. I think it's very important that whoever gets elected for the District 2 seat, because it will be a fresh face, there will be a new person no matter what, it's very important that we have someone in that seat that prioritizes the people that live here, not the people that want to move in here. It's very important that we prioritize the people that live here and make sure that we have a good infrastructure and we have a good sense of community here in Hernando County. So my name is Maxwell Glenn. You can go to maxwellglenn.org as well. Thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to get ready for the movie now. I want you to know there was a lot of ad-libbing today.